Again, my name is Joe Hillock. I'm president of the Delancey Homeowners Association, and I reside at 37 Rittenhouse Circle. So again, we're here tonight to clarify the considerations regarding the access road from the toll settlement proposal. And the main question that we have is, why is North Drive not considered to be a viable access point? Now, we have posed this question on September 22nd at the Board of Supervisors meeting. And at that meeting, we also invited any township supervisors to meet with the Delancey Board. We were advised at this September 22nd meeting that Mr. Sander will be scheduling a meeting of interested Delancey residents, Toll Brothers, and the Board of Supervisors. On October 18th, Mr. Mack took us up on our invitation and met with the Delancey Board and gave a brief background on what he knew about the toll proposal. He had no knowledge of any impending meeting scheduled with Toll, Delancey, and the township, but he did advise us, the board, that he will request an executive session between the supervisors, Toll, PennDOT, and the Delancey representatives. On October the 21st, we reached out to Mr. Calabro, the Board of Supervisors chairman, for a meeting to enlighten us further on what North Drive was not, why North Drive was not considered as an access point for the new toll proposed development. We invited to a meeting, and he said he would consider it. But when I asked the question about why North Drive, he answered with a question, and I'll just quote, how 45 homes really would affect your development of over 100 plus homes. For any traffic impact to happen, everyone would have to leave at the same time of day to get to the intersection at the same time and go in the same directions. What are the odds on that? So I can answer that question now by saying, conversely, how would 45 homes really affect the North Drive access point if we're looking at the same conditions? The fact that the traffic signal already exists at North Drive should be an overriding decision maker for safety aspect. The Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission, DVPRC, has advocated in their 2008 report that if a parcel is development that is aligned with North Drive, then North Drive is the recommended access point. We do not understand why you have no date proposed for discussion of this toll proposed project with the Delancey residents, Toll, and the Board of Supervisors. I just read in the minutes that the holdup was that there was no waiting for the traffic report, and that seems to me that now has come about. So when will be on the calendar for this discussion? Thank you.
And I think I pretty much asked you of the Delancey Court, how much cut-through traffic do you have through there? Because you only have one access point.
We have one
now.
house.
We had a discussion with people that live in Newtown Crossing, and their main concern was cut-through traffic because of Arcadia being built there, which we kind of agreed with them that cut-through traffic is not a good thing. But what you're asking is for the people of Newtown Grant to take the cut-through traffic, of which there would be only one access point for this development, of which Delancey Court has one access point.
Right.
Maybe, of which, again, people coming from the Toll Brothers development are not gonna cross over to come into Delancey Court. And people from Delancey Court are not gonna cross over to come into the Toll Brothers, unless they're visiting somebody. Now, but people that live in that development that may take Scoopville Road will cut through Newtown Green. Now, believe me, I don't think 45 homes would even be affected to Newtown Green, because where I live, there's 376 units. Just count two cars per unit. Then across the way, in Whispering Woods, there's 177 homes. Never has there been a backup at that light. But my question to you is, what if of the 376 units at Newtown in Society Place, every one of them on their way home just took a ride through your development?
Well, I don't think they can.
Like that.
I don't think they can.
Yep, I can. I can go into your development and ride around. Why can't I?
If you have a road to go through, why not? Because I'm fairly certain that people from the Delancey Court would, if this became the access point, wouldn't be able to make much of a left turn with the construction going on, and would probably turn right and go through Newtown Grant, make a U-turn and come back with a left turn.
So you're saying they won't be able to make a left or a turn? Or maybe
That's our contention, yeah.
Oh, really? So if you got two cars coming there, one from the Toll Brothers development and one from Delancey Court, and they both want to make a left, aren't they both going in opposite directions? And again, why would you want to come into that development unless you were visiting somebody? And why would they want to come into your development?
Come into what development?
You have no other access points except one way in and one way out.
That's correct.
And that's what we're offering this development, one way in and one way out. But, I don't know, as a matter of fact, if I were them, I'd be mad at Delancey Court for having, what, 150 some odd homes?
120.
So you're almost double their size, more than double their size. But you're complaining about 45 homes.
We're talking about a senior community with concerns about safety leaving the development. That's hasn't changed, so.
Suggested an executive session where we can discuss this. It's not just the
Not just the Board of Supervisors, but get
right. And I know that Mr. McCarron also suggested people from Newtown Crossing would be invited. Newtown Grant, sorry. And I suggested that some representative from PennDOT be there, and there is a precedent because PennDOT had a meeting with the Arcadia people and the residents in that area discussing why they didn't approve of this or that. And so why don't we just stick to that, because I think there's some other concerns about this that you and your colleagues have voiced, not just the signal. I think it would be appropriate, since we already sort of promised that we would have this meeting, to set up.
I hear you, but apparently only the seniors that live in Delancey Court in their $800 to $1 million homes should be promised safety, not the people that live in Newtown Green. They should be promised more traffic through their development.
But you already have a light. You already have a light that would be controlling the traffic.
As I said, there are other concerns.
No one ever goes through a light and a red light, or by accident may get hit by a truck that's coming in the other direction that misses that light. The light is not the issue. The issue is that you're complaining about 45 homes, maybe a total of 90 cars, which again, like I stated, have to leave at the same time, of which you have to leave at the same time, get to the same intersection, make the same turn, and apparently you know what the odds are because you said you know the odds. I don't know the odds because I know it's almost non-existent. Because I live in a development again where just between our two is almost 500 homes. The only time I ever get backed up at that light is if there's a school bus, and it's minuscule. Now, maybe you're afraid of these 45 homes because you think you're gonna get stuck in traffic. But you're still gonna get stuck in traffic if you're making a left-hand turn because you have to wait for the passing traffic to go by. I find this, I have to say, I'm not blaming you, but I find this as being a very selfish act on the Delancey Court's,
I'm sorry you see it that way, but I feel a selfish act on Newtown Grant, when you already have a light there. So why, you already have the traffic being directed by signals, we have nothing in that.
And the Master Board and the Board of Society Place, there would be no Delancey Court. But little do you people know the history because you're not told the history. The history goes back to about 2004, 2005. I'll give you a history lesson.
Well, I think our board member here, Carol Herbeck, is one of the newest one of the oldest members at the Delancey Court.
Well,
I think she knows, she's our historian, she knows it very well.
I know the history because I lived there. I even watched when your original builder pulled out, and I didn't hear a hammer banging on a rooftop for about a year and a half. And I remember when some of your residents came to this board and begged us to do something because you weren't getting a recreation center, begging us to help us. And what we had to do is hold back on certificates of occupancy so McGrath had to build it for you. Then you got bailed out by Toll Brothers, the same company that now you're complaining about that are building 45 homes across the street.
I think Toll did rather well building our development. They already had all the plans, everything was all laid out, so this was a good deal for Toll.
Yeah,
building
well,
at
what
the
you're
Delancey.
saying, yeah, well, it's a good deal for you. The rest of these houses would still be empty. If Toll Brothers didn't bail you out, didn't bail McGrath out, half of those homes, the roads weren't even paved. And your historian can attest to that. I lived next door in Society Place and I watched that place go up. And the reason it went up is because we declined someone who wanted to build 3 huge office buildings on that property. And they backed out of that. Then we had to change the zoning to residential because it wasn't residential, it was commercial. The rest, it wouldn't be there. But nobody knows that history. The only thing you know is that you're there and nobody else can be around.
Like I said, I think our secretary and historian knows that history pretty well.
I have an historian that's sitting behind her too, that can attest for what I'm saying.
But anyway, all this is...
I watched before her house went up. I know before her house was built. What does that you're calling yourself a historian when I know more history about this property than you do?
I am not a historian.
Well,
This
that's
has,
what this gentleman
Mr.
said.
Calabro, this has nothing to do, we're just talking about safety. I was here at a meeting when this 5 acres next door came before you guys and wants to build 21 townhomes. They're gonna have to get out too. Right now, we've had 3 accidents.
It's
Well,
done.
whatever, and they're gonna, well, then he threatened to build a professional building, it's zoned professional.
It's gone.
So there's not gonna be anything there
Right
in that
now,
5
there's
acres.
nothing gonna be there.
Okay, that's a good thing. You're saying that there's 45 cars. We're talking about school buses, emergency vehicles.
And they're constantly.
So what we are gonna do, and I do it already, and I'm
24 hours
gonna,
a day, these vehicles are gonna be going through that.
we still can't make a left-hand turn now without the 45
Well,
vehicles.
exactly, we were willing to.
And when they close Swamp Road, we're never gonna get out, so we're gonna go right, and we're gonna go through Newtown Grant. We're either gonna go all the way
We were
through
willing to
to
see if
Swamp.
there could be a light put there, and you still didn't want that.
If we had a light, we could turn it. It would only, the light would be, have a trip so that the only time that light would turn is if there's traffic, just like it is.
We can solve this, see, here's my suggestion. think Toll Brothers got something from PennDOT recently in regards to the, access point. And I guess North Drive was mentioned. Is that correct? Can you divulge that?
Today, I believe, Mr. Lewis received an email that he passed on to the board that,
Well, here's my suggestion. My suggestion is, I know that Newtown Grant's not afraid of 45 homes. So tell them to proceed with what PennDOT is proposing. And let Newtown Grant, we'll gladly absorb what you don't want to absorb,
Good,
okay?
that'd be great.
But then I also propose that there should still be a second access point for this development that comes out onto Municipal Drive without a traffic light.
Have a discussion.
The best thing is maybe it should be done in your development, and I'll see how you feel.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that my development's close enough, but what I'm saying is that maybe we should have a discussion amongst.
No, I'm trying to eliminate the discussion and let Newtown Grant be the bigger development. We are the bigger development, but I want to say being the bigger people here. And is that agreeable to you?
What's that?
Agreeable to you?
What was what agreeable?
That Newtown Grant takes the traffic going from North Drive across to the new development.
I thought we were,
Comment
no, I thought we were in the, nothing was done. This is all part of the proposal, is that where we're at here?
I say that the Board of Supervisors backs out of the agreement with Toll Brothers.
We don't have an agreement yet, do we? Did we sign an agreement? So the point of this, having this meeting between interested parties, this executive session, like we did with Arcadia, was to work out a number of these grievances and to give the residents access to the actual settlement agreement, which they currently do not have, and which we did for Arcadia in a closed meeting, an executive session, in which we also might invite PennDOT and have representatives from Toll Brothers there. I don't think we should be arguing about it
Well,
here
I'm
tonight.
saying we can eliminate all this by just doing.
No, because they had other concerns.
And then we'll have the.
For example, the access road to Municipal Drive cuts through Newtown property, and we're giving that property to Toll Brothers.
Approximately how many acres of that property are we giving?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Because if we're giving 2 acres to Toll Brothers, in return.
I thought it was 4.7 acres.
Fine.
Excuse me, can I say something?
4.7 acres from Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers is giving this township over 100 acres of open space. Now, that's a pretty good return on our investment. If you were to take 100 acres and just hypothetically, $100,000 an acre, you're talking about $10 million worth of land.
Mr. Chairman, all I'm saying is we shouldn't be having this discussion right here, right now, when we're all not prepared for it. We should have this discussion in an executive session, and we can discuss all it.
And the reviewing that Toll Brothers would have to do is create the North Drive and.
Well, I'm sure Toll Brothers, but what I'm trying to do is alleviate the aggravation for Delancey Court by saying, Toll Brothers has already been given something from PennDOT in regards to North Drive. Let them proceed with that.
Well,
There would be no need for any kind of meeting.
you're not relieving my aggravation. I'm aggravated. I don't want to have this. You're continuing to argue when
I'm not arguing, I'm making a statement, I'm just saying, let's do it and have Toll Brothers go forward with a suggestion from PennDOT. And the PennDOT suggestion would be, it was mentioned before, to use North Drive.
I think anyway, we try to, we need to, meeting.
Well, now the concerned party should be Newtown Grant, because we're taking Delancey Court out of the equation.
Well, Newtown Grant was always part of the discussion. Even Mr. McCarron said all the interested parties should be involved in the discussion. The settlement agreement does not mention, the biggest and the best, but that could come, under discussion at an executive session.
Okay,
Yeah, hi, my name is Maureen Schreiber, 105 Rittenhouse Circle. I would ask that Mr. Sanders had mentioned something about the report from PennDOT. Is that something that you can share with us at this point? And my other question would be, I think we're kind of ignoring the safety of the new development, whether it's 45 or however many homes. Anyone coming out of that development will be safer. It will be safer, I should say, for anyone coming out of that development to go to an intersection that has a traffic light. So we're taking people, we have there is an opportunity to put the traffic out into 403 at a signalized intersection rather than Municipal Drive. We all know everything is safer.
I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah, so that would,
I
that's,
don't know why we're belaboring it, because we're just gonna go with North Drive.
and then my next question is, when will that PennDOT study be shared with the community, the entire community? That's all, thank you.